Hello there and welcome to another edition of Robot Wars Unveiled. Also, did you know Doctor Who then? This time we're going to have a look at Series 4 Heat J. I hope you enjoy. As the 30th seed, Stinger became the lowest seeded robot in history to win a heat. Coincidentally, both seeds in this heat were eliminated by Mace in the Third Wars. This is also the only heat in Series 4 where two robots came through the second eliminator competed in the heat final. Discounted the 90s US events, Claude Hopper is the first ever walker in the main competition. Bigger Brother's loss in this heat shares similarities with its Series 7 loss. Both were seeded, both lost to a flipper in the second round, and both were times where Philippa Forrester was not the peak reporter. This is the only heat in Series 4 where the two heat finalists were first round dropouts from the previous series. Fraser is the only robot in pinball to attack the house robots, and technically the only robot to use its weapon in the pinball, something which is not allowed. An initial concept image of Spikosaurus suggested it was originally intended to be dome-shaped with front, side and rear spikes as well as a rear chainsaw. Before the first round, Joe Watts predicted they would beat Chaos 2, unintentionally foreshadowing what would happen in the next series. Stinger still had its pizza slicer as it was an interchangeable weapon for Series 4, but this never got used ever again, meaning Series 3 was the only time we ever saw the pizza slicer. In the Swedish dub of Heat J, the Stinger team actually confirmed that the name came from It actually turns out it was Kevin Scott's children who came up with the idea that Stinger's tail stung opponents. In fact, the tail was painted red and yellow to help indicate which way it was up. Series 4 is the only time Stinger is seeded, an even number. Spikosaurus would have appeared in Series 3. It was partnered up with Shumi 2 and was to fight in a vengeance battle also. However, because of a behind-the-scenes incident, Spikosaurus would never appear until this episode. It has been debated why Stinger was seeded as a result of losing in the first round in its debut series of Series 3. Well, Kevin Scott was a part of the steering committee, which was made up of Roboteers and technical staff, all of whom decided the seeds for this series, with Stinger being nominated as a result of both Trident and Blade's bigger brother withdrawing from Series 4. It is also likely that because Stinger won the Debenhams 2000 show, which made it seem much better in comparison and as a result held up its pedigree. Hammer and Tong is the only robot from this heat to never return. However, it is known that it fought Obsidian in the 5th Wars qualifiers, where it was defeated and knocked out. Speaking of qualifiers, for Series 4, Hammer and Tong faced Shere Khan but lost the battle. Despite this, it was given a place in the series where Shere Khan was not. In the qualifiers, Bulldog Breed utterly dominated Cannibal and the Bat. Spikosaurus, on the other hand, battered Hitman and defeated a robot called Octospike during its 4th Wars qualifiers. And that is it for today. Heat J of Series 4 is actually a really good heat. I think the big giveaway is Stinger. Stinger is fantastic in Series 4. I love Stinger. I've always loved Stinger. It's one of my all-time favourite robots. And in this heat, it just brutalizes. I love the melee battle between Bulldog Breed, Stinger and Spikosaurus. It is just a chaotic, mayhem-filled battle. Like, everything that happens. Like, it's just insanity. It is just chaos all around. And it's quite a tough battle to decide. Like, you don't know who should actually go through out of these three because they all did something. And obviously, Spikosaurus got the shortest stick, which I can understand why its control's a little bit off. But at the same time, Spikosaurus did really well despite its one-off appearance. As for the rest of the heat, Bigger Brother flipping Claude Hopper over. It's quite humorous, especially seeing the legs sort of dangle. Bulldog Breed being a very surprised robot, especially considering how crap it was in Series 3. Just dominating a lot of the robots, flipping Big Brother over, and you see this burst of steam as Big Brother is left on its back. And of course then fighting off Stinger at the end. Stinger's mace swinging down, making havoc. Absolutely brutal robots. Bulldog Breed. Overall, this is a great heat. All things considered, even the pinball was fun. Seeing Razor attack and grab onto Sid a lot during the pinball. I love the pinball as a whole. I've always loved it as a side competition. But this pinball in particular is just really, really good. So yeah, overall, this heat is fantastic. It's great. It's got great battles. It's got a great side event. There are some weak elements, obviously. The first round melee between Hammer and Tong, Bigger Brother, and Claude Hopper isn't very interesting. Hammer and Tong, as a whole, one of the worst second round robots I've ever seen. It is so slow and pitifully so, which is a shame because I quite like its design. Its design's quite cool, but it's so painfully slow. I'm a sucker when it comes to Perspex armor, like see-through armor. I think it's beautiful to look at. But yeah, overall, Heat J, very good very, very, very good, in fact, episode of Series 4. I mean, Series 4 has plenty of great episodes. It's really hard to say anything negative about Series 4. Like, genuinely, I don't think there is a single bad episode from Series 4. Like, even the weaker ones, like the Celebrity Special, has some great elements to it. It's virtually impossible to say anything bad about Series 4. So, yeah. So, let's see what's next, and will it be a series we haven't seen yet? I mean, we haven't seen Series 3, 7, 5 at all, not even 2. So yeah, hopefully we'll get some very interesting, maybe one of the foreign walls, let's see. Well, would you look at that? The very first ever Foreign Robot Wars episode we're going to be talking about. This is Dutch Series 2 next time. Heat B in particular, which is actually a very good heat overall. Spoiler alert for my little review. But yes, I'll see you next time.